And now, your host, Ray Jeske.
And a good afternoon, and welcome to the Ray Jeske Show here on ESPN 90, coming up on 1 minute after 12 on a Thursday, the 8th of February. The next segment, Becca Moore, the head coach, Nate Moore's lovely wife, and Scott Ryan, a local fixture and has written a number of books. They have collaborated on a new book, Massillon Against the World, the story of the 23 Massillon Tigers, and we're going to interview them. Their release date of the book is approaching. It's about 5-6 weeks out, and so we'll probably have them again. But our first conversation about what is a really good book. I haven't read every word in sequence yet, but I've sampled it heavily. I've immersed myself in it, and it's a fun book. For those of us close to the scene as we are, and who spend, are embedded in the program as ESPN 90 is, it is I think we would be good judges, and it's a real good book. When we come back, the authors of the brand new book, Massillon Against the World, they're with us on the Ray Jeske Show, ESPN 990.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 990 WTIG Massillon, Canton.
15 minutes after 12 o'clock on the Ray Jeske Show, ESPN 990. Again, Clark Kellogg, the basketball legend, CBS basketball, the lead analyst for CBS. He will be with us at 12:30, but joining us right now, the authors of the brand new book that is soon to be released, Massillon Against the World, the story of the 2023 Massillon Tigers. Author Scott Ryan, Becca Moore. We go to Becca first. We'll do these sequentially on two different lines. We'll bring them back and forth a little bit, but so let's go to Becca first here on the Ray Jeske Show, ESPN 90. Becca, how are you?
Great, Ray. How you doing?
I'm doing just great. Are you at the high school or grade school, or where are you at right now?
Right now I'm at a grade school. I'm at Franklin Elementary.
Very good. Becca, firstly, I got to ask you, let me compliment you. I haven't read every word cover to cover, every paragraph just yet, but that'll come. But I've really dived into it, and I've really enjoyed the book so far. And what amazed me was what you guys did really well is you protected, each of you, your own voice. And yet, you're both excellent writers. I know Scott already was a very accomplished writer, but you're a terrific writer. Did you? Is that a new gift for you? Did you know you had that in you?
I appreciate that, Ray. Well, actually, my first degree is in journalism. So
there we go.
My dad is kind of excited about this because he thinks I actually might have put one of my degrees to use.
There you go. By the way, I met your parents at Massillon Baptist Temple on a Sunday night. I was a guest speaker about a couple of months ago. And they came up to me afterward, and we had a nice little chat. I don't know if they told you that, did they?
Yeah, they did tell me, yes. They're sweet people.
It was kind of fun. The idea of, in some respects, there's a famous writer in Akron named Terry Pluto. He wrote a big best-selling book about the American Basketball Association, the rival to the NBA in the early days. And it was called Loose Balls, an Oral History. This is kind of an oral history, isn't it? The voices of all these coaches coming through and continually. Would you describe it sort of as that? I mean, you guys have your own voices in the text, and then you give them their voices and let them literally speak.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted to do because there's a lot of books on Massillon, but I never felt, and Scott didn't feel like there was a book that had like the oral history where you really like sat down and let the coaches kind of give their perspective. And I think everybody thinks it's easy to win.
Yeah.
maybe they don't. But I think just also hearing being able to listen to the coaches talk about all the time it takes and all that they put in to this season and really every season was important to me as a head coach's wife, or really just as a coach's wife, because I've been, an assistant coach's wife with Nate being an assistant coach. But that was important to me. But also Scott wanted to capture what it was like Massillon on the inside as like living it every day like right. Nate and I do. And then also from the outside, from, the perspective of a Section 14 guy.
A Section 14 guy. Hey, I was fascinated. You guys, you're so transparent in the book, too. The history, and I'll talk to Scott about his history. He does a brilliant job of all of his deep family roots. The way that only Massillon people could fully identify with. Because almost every Massillon person has a story that's sort of like that. The many generations through which, the sons that are waiting for you to die so they can get your season tickets, that kind of thing. And but you and Nate sitting in a room, in my mind, it's dusk, it's darkening, going into evening, and you both say, "I'm not happy." I don't know, like a buyer's remorse or something? Did I misunderstand that the early, like, did we make the right decision coming here? You know, is this going to work out? That's phenomenal, because all we've known is the ultra-successful Nate Moore and the ultra-successful reason behind it, Becca Moore. So when you decided to put all that in, was that hard for you?
You know, I really live my life like what you see is what you get, you know, with me. And I think, you know, when I first came here, Ray, I'm not afraid to say it, like, people didn't like me. I felt not liked. You know, they liked Nate, but they didn't know how to handle me, because I'm pretty in-your-face kind of person. Not meaning to be mean, but, like, I come across that way, I think. And I think I wanted people to understand, you know, what we've sacrificed from the very beginning to winning the state championship. Like, it wasn't maybe buyer's remorse, but it was scary. Like, what have we really gotten our kids and our family into? Because we moved away from all our support system to come here. So it was a big, big sacrifice, but I've always been supportive of Nate and my family. Like, I knew when I married him that I wanted him to live his dream, and his dream was always to be the best he could be. And I knew that was at Massillon, but I wanted him to understand too, and the people to understand that it wasn't as easy as maybe we've made it look.
Wow. I remember the moment I met you and Nate. It was 4th of July, Stadium Park, the parking lot between the Stadium Park and the other parking lot, the upper tier parking lot on the west side there. And you were in a golf cart, I think, with Matt Keller. I think he was driving you around. And then Nate was walking somewhere, because I went up to him and approached him about doing the Nate Moore show at Buffalo Wild Wings. You know, that was our history of always doing the coaches show and all that. But I met you first and him. It's amazing. Does it feel like 9 years, or does it feel like a blur?
I think it feels like 9 years.
Yeah.
I think it feels like 9 years.
The most magical season, the most magical night ever. The last game, of course, the Hoban, the party downtown and all of that. Can you describe some of the emotions you were experiencing when the zeros came up on the scoreboard and Bedlam in the stands and downtown Massillon, a party that probably in some ways hasn't ended. But what was that like from the wife of the head coach's perspective?
I mean, for me, I wanted to make sure that I didn't rush Nate, because I thought it was important that he got to celebrate with the coaches and the guys, and of course with Salvino, because he's been such a big support. And we went through a lot this year, and we've been through a lot other years too. But this year, at the beginning of the season, obviously we went through a lot, and so I felt like it was important for him to celebrate with the people that got him through that. I mean, obviously we're married, I hoped, but like, you know, those were his guys, and this team, you know, they've been together for a long time, and they've worked through a lot of adversity. So I actually just sat back and watched the crowd and the faces and people hugging people and enjoyed it. And then I did run over and point to Section 14 guy and said, "I told you so." And my mom was, you know, my sister was sitting close to him and some of our other family, and I was like, I told you. So then I went and looked for Nate after he had, you know, shaken hands and was able to take in the moment. But being able to watch it and sit back and not rush and watch it, that was pretty amazing, Ray.
I cannot imagine every football fan family in America of the Massillon Tigers not wanting a copy of this book as a retrospective to relive it and go, I remember that game. I remember where I was when that happened. I remember when Coach is citing this event. I remember that. You know, it's just it brings it back to life, and you captured so much of it. Becca, I'm going to go to Scott right now.
Okay, go ahead.
And I want to ask him about the structure of the book, this against theme that I thought was so perfect. All the chapter titles. It is Massillon Against the World, isn't it, for those of us that live here?
Yes.
Very much is. Very cool. Thank you, Becca. She will stay on, and we can bring her back for a final statement. Scott Ryan is joining us now, a well-known author, joining Ray Jeske on ESPN 990, the radio home of the Massillon Tigers since 1957. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing great. I loved everything you said to Becca, and I'm so happy that you complimented her writing. She knocked me off. I mean, I was flabbergasted when these chapters were coming in. she's so honest,
Yeah.
and she doesn't realize what a big deal that is. That's like the hardest thing for someone to do, is to put their ego aside and just tell the truth. And Becca is my hero.
I like it when she was answering the question to herself of, well, how hard could it be? And she said, you go to the game, you eat some concessions, this and that, and you go home with your husband.
Right.
And then she said, wrong answer. That little two thing, it was so comical, a real sense of humor. Your history yourself, Scott Ryan, is just genius. It's a great piece of writing, and those grade school teachers that helped steer you, they did the right thing, because obviously you were born to write books. That is brilliant. And if you live in Massillon, the way you sew together the history of the community and the town and steel mills and drying up and championships with it and all the adversity, you don't shy away from any of it. All the cheap shots, it's amazing how you hit everything head on. Well done.
Oh, thank you. I'm a slight troublemaker, and Becca is a huge troublemaker.
Right.
And Nate kept saying, the two of you together, I'm not sure about this, but we're not trying to cause trouble. We just want it accurate and what it's like, because I've grown up being a Tiger fan. I've gone to the games since I was, I don't remember not going to the games.
Yeah.
Like, my dad took me as a little kid. And, when Massillon's in your blood, you hear all these comments, and they build up, and, we finally did it. I mean, I got to ask you a question. How was it for you to win the state championship? Like, you've been doing this forever. What was it like for you when it hit 0-0-0?
I can't even explain. Ellery and I were so emotional. I'm going to get emotional talking about it. It was up in the press box. It was just tears of joy. We couldn't. It's not smart to get in a hugging contest with Ellery Moore. I'm just saying. So I don't know if I fully recovered my back and everything from that moment, but it was euphoric at a level I've never experienced that word before. It was just unbelievable, and it changes your life. The next day we met, we had this long-standing breakfast. We're going to meet and get steak and eggs at top of the viaduct to celebrate the state championship. We've been telling each other that since week one, Scott Ryan. And here we were. And we knew it was going to come. We just knew this is the year. And when we're sitting there eating a steak and eggs, we've never come down off the high.
Me neither. I still, I have a state championship T-shirt that I got from J.P. Simon's store. And I always say, I don't wear it to brag. I wear it to remind myself that we actually did it.
Hey, Scott, we're on a hard break, and I've got to terminate this interview right now. We will have you guys on back. Becca, stay on. I want one closing statement from you, but we'll have you guys back soon at your bidding, whenever you decide it serves you best in terms of your release party or anything else, or even a couple times, and certainly for a longer segment, like a half hour, 2 segments or something, okay?
That sounds good. Yeah, it's March 22nd at the Massillon Museum. Everyone come on down.
March 22nd, Massillon Museum. Terrific book. You'll love it, folks. I'm going to go one last time to Becca. Becca, anything that you just want to say in closing? There's one thing I want to say is the book created for me a bunch of new questions for Nate that I got to ask him.
Oh, good.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask one. I bet you could speak to this. When a bunch of college coaches said, don't go to Massillon from LaSalle, because it won't be as good of players and this, that, and the other. And he said it ticked him off and it made him, it challenged him. I know Place was not one of those guys. Were there other? Are there a few Jim Places out there that were the opposite, saying like, "Man, you're crazy if you don't take it"?
No, not really.
Wow,
no.
Wow, yeah. Becca, brilliant job, great book, great success with it, and we'll do this again sometime in the next week. We'll set it up for the next time that you guys want to come on. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ray. Have a good one.
God bless you. There it is.